On America's Got Talent, her powerful voice captivated the country. But that stage was not where Angelica Hale's journey started, and it most certainly wasn't where it ended. A terrifying medical journey that almost lost her everything took place behind the golden buzzer. She won millions of dollars, but the world she returned to wasn't always accepting. Both the fame and the strain came quickly. What transpired then when the spotlight went out? How did she deal with the pressure of expectations, a life-threatening illness, and the sudden fame that followed? Let's get started. On July 31, 2007, Angelica Hale was born in Atlanta, Georgia. As the oldest of their two children, Angelica was brought up in a loving, caring environment by her mother, Eva Belando, who was originally from the Philippines, and her father, Colin Hale, who is American. Even in those early years, there were indications that Angelica was something unique. But at first, everything was rather normal. Her parents started to take note of her amazing musical talent when she was just 2.5 years old. Eva can still clearly recall the incident. Angelica began singing along with the radio in the back seat while they were driving. The spark was that they soon signed her up for voice lessons, and it soon became apparent that this young child had a lot of talent. But tragedy struck, and it struck hard, just as things were starting to take shape. Angelica suffered a terrible bacterial condition known as strep pneumococcal when she was just 4 years old. What had begun as a minor ailment became potentially fatal. Angelica developed double pneumonia as a result of the infection, and her condition rapidly deteriorated. The situation rapidly worsened when she was taken to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta in Eagleston. As soon as she arrived, medical professionals put her on ECMO, an extreme kind of life support that replaces the heart and lungs when the body is unable to do it on its own. Her situation was crucial. Angelica's organs had begun to shut down due to septic shock, a deadly full-body reaction to infection. Her kidneys were severely damaged and completely stopped functioning. It became nearly impossible for her to breathe on her own as her lungs started to bleed and air began to seep into her abdomen. To regulate her oxygen levels, she was put on a ventilator and then moved to an oscillator. To keep her alive, doctors had to perform numerous platelet and blood transfusions. Her kidneys had shut down entirely, and 20% of her right lung was badly injured. Recovery was out of the question. For one very important reason, she had to be transported to Eagleston House. The ECMO machine that was essential to her survival was not available at the facility where she was. Angelica Hale was in a medically induced coma for 12 days. Her tiny body is struggling to stay alive. Doctors had to use plasmapheresis, a unique blood cleaning technique, because the infection in her blood was so severe. She also had a significant lung infection that required emergency surgery. Doctors couldn't even start treating her more aggressively until her health stabilized. She was in the pediatric intensive care unit for several weeks. In addition to machinery and drugs, there is an amazing staff of physicians, nurses, pharmacists, EMO experts, respiratory therapists, and dietitians who work around the clock. Her parents were by her side all the while. At every stage of her treatment, they were actively involved. Dr. Petrillo, one of her physicians, later acknowledged the importance of that family support and described her family as incredible. Between February 2 and April 24, 2012, Angelica was admitted to the hospital for an incredible total of 80 days. She spent around half of those weeks at the PICU, undergoing numerous operations and surgeries. However, the battle was far from finished, even after she was eventually released from the hospital. Her kidneys continued to malfunction, As a result, she required hemodialysis 3 times a week. With her parents by her side, exhausted, anxious, and trying everything they could to keep her going. Each session meant another trip to the hospital. Eventually, a ray of hope appeared. In order to implant a unique dialysis tube in her belly, she had to undergo a new treatment. As a result, she was able to start peritoneal dialysis, which she could do every day at home. Even if the road ahead was still high, it was a slight return to normalcy for the family. For the Hales, that chapter was a game changer. It served as a wake-up call and a reminder of how swiftly life can change drastically. But Angelica developed a spark as a result of that adversity. She made a significant choice even as a little child. She had no intention of letting life go by. She started vocal training at the age of 5 with Alpharetta, Georgia-based coach Tricia Gray. Soon after, Angelica made a significant move. It was her first time performing. In front of a few hundred people, it was 2013 at Youth Idol. She overcame her nervousness and held her own while singing Reflection and Part of Your World. She didn't only sing at the end of the night, she won. She belonged to the age range of 5 to 9 years old. The adventure officially started at that point, as all of this was taking place. Her physicians were already planning for the next phase, which would involve finding her a replacement kidney. Her parents were both tested. While her mother was a match, her father wasn't. She offered to donate without hesitation. Later on, Angelica would say that the moment she learned was transformative, akin to a light beam piercing the night. The transplant was planned. Her mother became her kidney donor on September 13, 2013, giving Angelica a future in addition to a kidney. The family returned home in a few days after the flawless procedure, with genuine hope in their hearts this time. As one of her physicians, Dr. Stockwell, subsequently stated, "To save a child in such a dire situation, it really takes a village. Every single individual, including the hospital transport team, physical therapists, social workers, and intensive care unit nurses, contributed to her recovery." Dr. Stockwell recalled how ill Angelica was when she first arrived, and said it was tremendously satisfying to see her doing well now. And she flourished. Angelica started singing at the Make-A-Wish Foundation Ball and entertaining seniors at the Sunrise Living Center over the holidays. One particularly noteworthy instance was when she sang "Let It Go" at the Broadway Dreams Foundation in Atlanta, with such impact that the real Frozen producer noticed and gave her a shout-out. She was then asked to perform America the Beautiful during the U.S. Open men's tennis semifinals in 2015. She got closer to a dream she was now brave enough to pursue with each performance. After overcoming each of those phases, Angelica set her sights on a more ambitious goal: talent in America. Currently, one of the most popular talent shows in the U.S. is America's Got Talent, or AGT, as most people call it. Simon Cowell invented the American version of Britain's Got Talent, which is a part of a global franchise that has become incredibly popular. Since its June 2006 debut, AGT has grown into a vast platform for presenting a wide range of talent over the course of 17 seasons. The structure hasn't changed. In an attempt to win both the $1 million reward and a chance at fame, performers from all walks of life try out in front of a panel of famous judges. Angelica Hale was one among the numerous aspirants who were inspired by AGT. She grew up watching the show avidly as a child. For her, it was more than just amusement. The dream was only waiting to be pursued. She wasn't the type to give up quickly, even though her first audition didn't go as planned. She returned a year later, stronger, more determined, and prepared to try again. Angelica has a single objective in mind. Like Whitney Houston, she aspired to be a celebrity. Even though she was only 10 years old, she was already full of ambition when she appeared on the AGT stage for season 12 in 2017. It was a major occasion, and to make her pre-performance anxiety even worse, she unexpectedly ran across Howie Mandel backstage, who gave her a hi as he walked past. She was stunned and much more anxious after that brief encounter. However, Angelica entered the stage with assurance after the lights were turned on and the crowd had calmed down. She appeared in front of Howie Mandel, Heidi Klum, Mel B, and Simon Cowell at the age of 9. No one anticipated the future course of events. She decided to perform Rise Up by Andra Day, and she had the crowd captivated from the first note. The theater was filled with her voice, which was strong, passionate, and much older than she was. She captivated everyone in the room with her smooth transitions between rich, deep tones and soaring high notes. The audience was unable to control themselves as she approached the last chorus. The entire theater was standing by the end of her performance as applause broke out. Even the judges were in awe. Simon Cowell was almost unable to speak as he noted how unbelievable it was that someone so small could have such a strong voice. He claimed that they were watching the ascent of a real star. Heidi Klum called Angelica clever and determined and acknowledged that she felt goosebumps. She informed everyone that she genuinely thought it was possible for Angelica to achieve her goal of becoming Melb, was also gushing about her performance, praising it and thanking her for sharing her talent. In a charming, humorous moment, Angelica revealed to Melb that she was her favorite judge. That made Mel B very happy. As Cowell teasingly pressed his buzzer, she rushed onto the stage, embraced Angelica, and kissed her. Howie Mandel concluded by saying that he thought all of Angelica's dreams might come true. The judges did the same, one after the other, with a unanimous yes. As it struck her, Angelica glowed with excitement and spun about. Officially, she was en route. She had only just started her AGT journey. She came back for the judges' cuts round after wowing everyone with her first audition, and she gave a powerful rendition of Alicia Keys' Girl on Fire. This young Atlanta vocalist, who is just 9 years old, once again astounded the entire panel of judges. Her amazing performance of Rise Up had already caused a stir. However, this performance was a whole new level. He acknowledged that he was anxious, but it didn't show for a moment. She held the audience in the palm of her hand as she sang with a confidence and emotional depth much beyond her years. Then the golden buzzer was pressed by guest, Judge Chris Hardwick. He referred to her as the selected one. In an instant, the room exploded. Everyone in the audience, including Angelica's parents, was crying. She later described the experience as bizarre, stating that she found it difficult to believe it was real. She then moved on to live performances, where the strain only increased. She performed Clarity in the quarterfinals and Without You in the semifinals, which once again rocked the crowd. She clarified that this song has great personal significance for her, particularly in light of her sister's recent birth. The words about not being able to win or rule without someone really spoke to her at that moment, and Angelica dedicated the performance to her. She appeared to get better with each round, and by the time she made it to the finals, she was one of season 12's most notable stars. She sang Clean Bandit and Zara Len's Symphony at her last competitive performance. Knowing that the entire nation was watching, I stepped onto Later On, She acknowledged that she was more anxious than ever, but she also claimed that something had changed. She felt prepared this time. The whole panel of judges stood up when she performed Symphony. She received a standing ovation from Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Mel B, and Howie Mandel. After then, Angelica talked about how it felt unreal to have come this far. However, off camera, one of the most touching moments occurred. She was approached by Simon Cowell, who shook her hand and praised her performance as the finest she had ever performed. It was an unforgettable occasion for Angelica, who grew up watching AGT and looking up to the judges. However, she claimed that waiting for results was the most difficult aspect of the entire process. Waiting for her name to be called while standing on stage. The experience was extremely nerve-wracking. Nevertheless, she maintained her optimism by telling herself that she was already a winner, regardless of what transpired. Angelica's final performance, Stronger, by Kelly Clarkson, earned her a spot in the top 5 for the final results presentation. She became the youngest runner-up in the history of the show, finishing second to ventriloquist Darcy Lynn. Angelica thanked everyone who had helped her along the way as she took the stage with emotion as the season came to a close. She informed America that she felt like a winner even if she didn't win the $1 million. Everything changed after the show. She began receiving offers to perform, and before long she was always on the road. In addition to being exciting, it was a little daunting. She described the experience as a roller coaster, full of amazing highs, unforeseen difficulties, and endless potential. However, things took an even more bizarre turn just as it appeared that her AGT trip had peaked. America's Got Talent in 2019. The champions took the stage. Some of the most memorable acts from AGT and its international variants were included in this high-stakes spin-off. 10 exceptional performers made a comeback. Everyone is vying for another chance at glory, from champions to fans' favorites. Some saw it as an opportunity to experience the limelight again. It had a greater meaning for others, a chance for atonement, and it was just that for Angelica Hale, age 11. She came back determined to show that she still had more to offer after placing second in season 12. She decided to play Rachel Platten's fight song, which represented her path and will to become one of the greatest. Angelica talked candidly about the significance of this performance for her before taking the stage. She accepted the challenge, even though she was aware that she would be competing against some of the most gifted painters in the franchise's history. She captivated the audience and judges with her electrifying performance. She instantly became the only contestant in AGT history to win 2 golden buzzers, one on season 12 and another on The Champions. Chris Hardwick, a guest judge in season 12, was the one who initially slammed the golden buzzer for her. Howie Mandel was unable to contain himself this time. Mandel praised the raw intensity and emotion she put into her performance and sent her straight to the finals after her stirring performance of Fight Song. It was an intensely emotional occasion for Angelica. Later, she talked about how much those words meant to her, particularly since they came from a judge she greatly admired. This performance held significant weight for her, as she had overcome kidney failure at the age of 4, and the song's message mirrored everything she had experienced. When Angelica learned that she had created AGT history, she was ecstatic. She had not anticipated reaching the milestone of becoming the first 2-time Golden Buzzer recipient, and her response was one of gratitude and utter shock. Former competitors even joined in to celebrate her accomplishment, and her admirers showered social media with praise. She wrote on social media that it was bizarre and that she felt as though she was dreaming. James Hale, her father, was just as sentimental. Fans dubbed him Cry Dad, and he accepted the moniker with pride. It was more than a proud father moment to watch his daughter shine on such a huge stage. It was a very intimate encounter. He talked about how heartwarming it was to see people acknowledge what he had always known, that Angelica had amazing skill. Angelica knew she had her work cut out for her going into the finals. Susan Boyle would be among the well-known opponents she would face. Melb selected yet another golden buzzer performer. Angelica referred to Susan as a legend and looked up to her. Both the anxieties and the excitement were genuine. It was an even more bizarre experience because she was competing against someone she admired. Paul Potts, the original winner of Britain's Got Talent, whose operatic performance secured him a spot in the finals owing to the vote of the superfans, and Cristina Ramos, the powerful vocalist from Spain's Got Talent, were also included. Despite being aware that she was against exceptional skill, Angelica remained focused and unwavering. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for her, something that not everyone is given. Angelica selected the song Impossible by Chantel, which was made popular by James Arthur, the winner of X Factor UK, for her last performance. Her amazing voice and stage presence were once again emphasized in this intense, emotionally charged moment. Melb even described it as perfect. The superfans did not, however, vote her to the final round in spite of the accolades. Paul Potts and Angelica were eliminated, but Shin Lim, a close-up magician, won the title. Nevertheless, Angelica's experience on the stage had a profound impact, and she continued to push herself. Rather, she maintained the momentum and developed an impressive career in entertainment. She started to appear frequently at significant public gatherings, such as the renowned Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, when she gave a remarkable performance. Her moving performances of the national anthem during games for the Atlanta Falcons, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Atlanta Braves may also be remembered by sports fans. There were times when her voice could be heard above thousands of people in stadiums. Angelica flourished on TV, even after she stopped performing live. She shared her story and her songs with viewers nationwide by making cameos on popular television shows, including Today, Access Hollywood, and the Hallmark Channel. She continued to release covers and original songs, growing her collection and giving her admirers even more reasons to keep up with her. With more than 3.7 million Facebook admirers, 2.9 million YouTube subscribers, 1.1 million Instagram fans, and around 100,000 TikTok followers, she has an equally amazing social media. Her music and message have spawned a robust online community. Fans can purchase items, get the latest information on her projects, and even contact her to book her for events on her own website, which she recently opened. Angelica has transformed from a youthful prodigy to a rising star with longevity since her stint on AGT. In a cutthroat market, her voice, determination, and relationship with fans have made her stand out, and all indications suggest an even more promising future.